welcome. My name is Leah, and today's class is going to be working up into a headstand. We will start by doing a warm-up and then work through some poses that will help prep our body for headstand. And when we come to the headstand part, we will go through several different options on levels of working up into handstand and a couple of different variations about how you can have your hands in headstand. So we're going to start the practice taking some head rolls from side to side, taking the chin down to the chest, rolling your ear over towards your shoulder, and then back through the center. We'll just take it across the front of the chest for the first couple of rounds. And if you'd like, after you've taken a couple of half circles, you can bring it all the way around and take it in a full circle, making sure you go slow and making sure that there's no pain when doing this. If there is, I would just come back into this half circle. And if you did take the full rolls, we'll just gently reverse it, going around the other direction. Once you feel like you have evened out both sides or both ways of rolling, come back through center, and we're going to take the right ear down to the right shoulder. If you'd like, you can take the right hand over top of the head and just placing it on top of the head, not yanking or pulling it down towards your shoulder, just coming into a bit more of a stretch down the left side of your neck. If you'd like, you can take the left fingertips down onto the ground beside your hip and just walk it out to the side. If you took the hand on the top of the head, you can remove it. And you can keep the head in the stretch. You can release the left arm as well, keeping the head in the same position. Or you can gently move your nose towards your shoulder, your right shoulder. And just gently moving around through that range of motion from your ear being towards the right shoulder, and then moving the nose gently in that direction. And then gently coming all the way back up through center. And we'll take it on the other side now. So bringing the left ear towards the left shoulder. Again, you always have the option of taking the left hand on top of the head and just resting it there, adding just a bit more of a stretch. Taking the right arm by the hip and then walking it out towards the right side of the mat. Releasing both arms, keeping the left ear towards the left shoulder. And we can bring the nose towards the left shoulder in that direction. It only goes as far as feels good in your neck. Never pushing too far. We want to be gentle on the neck. And just moving in that range of motion from the ear towards the shoulder, and then bringing the nose gently in that direction. When you feel like you've got an adequate stretch, bringing the neck back up to neutral. The next thing we will be doing is taking some arm stretches. So we're gonna try this dynamic arm movement, bringing the arms out to the side into a cactus position. So goal posting the arms, bringing the hands back as you bring the elbows forward. Then we'll bring the forearms and hands together at the center of the body, keeping the elbows bent. Bringing the elbows up towards the ears, elbows above the head. Then we'll bring the back of the palms together, bringing the elbows out towards the side, back of the palms together, rising all the way up. And then we'll open back up into the cactus arms. And we'll take about 5 more of these. So bringing the cactus arms, and then we'll bring it back together in the center, bringing the forearms and the palms together. Raising the elbows up above the head, back of the palms coming together, bringing the elbows out to the side, rising all the way up, and then opening back up. So that's 2 rounds. So we'll do 3 more, bringing it together in the center, palms, forearms together, up over your head, back of the palms together, elbows out, rise all the way up, and then open back up. We'll do 2 more. So as we inhale, we'll open the arms up to cactus. Exhale, bring it forward, palms and forearms together. Inhale, rise up, elbows above the head. Exhale, elbows out, back of the palms together. Inhale, rise up, and then exhale, we'll open up into cactus arms. Inhale, cactus arms. Exhale, bring it together in front of the body. Raise the elbows above the head, back of the palms together, elbows out, and then rise all the way up, and then open. We'll release the arms, give them a shake, do whatever you need to do before moving into the next pose. We will be coming into a cat-cow. So we'll come into a tabletop position, having the knees separated just a little bit, hands directly underneath the shoulders. We'll inhale, draw the belly down, lifting the gaze and the chest up, tailbone up. Exhale, rounding it out, tucking the tailbone and the chin, and then coming back into a cow position, dipping down, and then rounding out. So we'll take the next 5 breaths in cat-cow, or taking any other cat-cow movements you'd like. So you can take barrel rolls or side stretches, but we really want to warm up through the spine and the chest. Taking 2 more. And then coming back into a neutral tabletop. We'll tuck the toes, and we're going to lift our hips slowly up and back and come into the first downward dog of the practice. Pedaling out the feet if you need to, bending one knee and then bending the other. Taking some side stretches if you need. Pivoting the heels to one side and looking under the arm. Taking another couple of breaths here to settle in. Moving your heels towards the ground, but they never actually have to touch. It's more about bringing length to the upper body. So even if you have a bend in your knees, that's completely okay. We want to try opening up through the lower back and bringing the chest down towards the thighs. Taking one more breath. Bending the knees and bringing up to your toes, bending the knees, and we'll step or hop to the front of the mat, coming into a half lifted position. So you can have your hands on fingertips or your shins, bringing your back into a straight position, and then exhale, round in, forward fold. Inhale, rise slowly all the way back up to stand, arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, rise the arms up. If you'd like, you can take a mini back bend. And then exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift, hands to shins, or onto fingertips. Exhale, plant your palms, step or hop back, come into a plank pose. Taking a vinyasa or a flow, so you can either come halfway down into chaturanga or all the way down. We can come into cobra or up dog, and then bring your hips up and back into down dog. Step or hop to the front of the mat, come into a half lift. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, rise slowly all the way back up to stand, arms overhead. And then exhale, hands to heart center. We'll take 2 more sun A's just like that. Just warming up the body. Inhale, rise the arms up. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant your palms, step or hop back, coming into a plank pose, taking a vinyasa, and then meeting back in down dog. Coming up to the toes, bend the knees, step or hop to the front of the mat, half lift. Exhale, fold in. And then rise slowly all the way back up to stand, arms overhead. And then exhale, hands to heart center. So we'll take 1 more, inhaling, rising the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Half lift. Plant the palms, step or hop back, coming into a flow. So we'll either come halfway down, all the way down, upward dog or cobra. And then we'll bring the hips up and back into downward dog. Coming up onto the toes, bending the knees, step or hop to the front of the mat. Half lift. And then exhale, round in. Then we'll rise slowly all the way back up to stand, hands overhead. And then hands to heart center. Taking a couple of breaths here. Centering ourselves before we move into the next sequence. Inhale, rise the arms up, lower the hips down. Chair pose. Hold. And then we'll fold over the legs, coming into a forward fold. Half lift. Plant the palms, step or hop back, come into a vinyasa, or you can meet back in down dog. So we're going to ride it all the way forward into a plank pose, rounding the upper back and slowly coming all the way forward into plank. We'll lower down onto the forearms. Holding here for a couple of breaths. And then we'll gently walk the feet all the way in towards the upper body, coming into a dolphin pose. We'll hold for 1 more breath. And then we'll lower the knees all the way back down to the ground, sitting back onto the heels, coming into hero's pose, taking the palms facing up on the legs or down, whatever feels more comfortable, and you can just let your whole body relax. Dolphin pose can be quite intense. So just between these sets, we'll just take a little bit of time to reset. Come back into a tabletop. Tuck the toes, bring your hips all the way back up into downward dog. Rounding all the way forward into plank. This time we'll hold in plank. And then we're going to lower down onto the forearms. And then walking the feet all the way up and in, coming into dolphin. If you'd like, you can lift one leg up and then the other. If you're not, that's totally fine. And you don't have to walk your feet in as much. You can just go as far as you can hold it for a couple of breaths. And then we'll come back down to the knees, sitting back onto the heels, bringing the hands onto the legs, and just taking a couple breaths. So we'll take one more round of this plank, forearm plank, and then dolphin pose. This time we're going to hold for just a little bit longer in each pose. Planting the palms down and then tucking the toes, coming up into downward dog. Rounding all the way forward and coming into a plank pose. If you need to readjust the feet, you can. Coming down to the forearms. And then walking your feet all the way in, coming into dolphin. One more breath. And then lower all the way down to your knees, coming all the way back, sitting on the heels. Taking some slow, regulating breaths. Or just trying to slow your breath down a little bit. Bring our hands forward, coming back through tabletop. Tucking the toes, and then we'll come back up through downward dog. Lifting the left leg up, keeping the hips squared. Then bringing the knee to the chest, rounding forward and planting the foot in between the palms. We'll rise all the way up into crescent lunge. Holding strong, tucking the tailbone under, big deep bend in the front leg, And then we're going to straighten the front leg, pivot all 10 toes towards the long edge of the mat. And we're going to come into a fold here. So we'll bring the arms up and then we'll fold all the way in. So in this pose, we're just actually going to work on the 2 different arm positions just as we're in this forward fold. So the first one we're going to be taking is tripod. So that will be bending the arms and bringing the top of the head down to the ground. It's okay if your head isn't touching the ground, but we're going to bring the arms into a semi-position like that. We will have more of a bend in the elbow when we come into it, but we'll just feel what it feels like here to have that arm position. If your head can come down to the ground, that's great, but if not, that's okay. Just bend as far forward as you can. You can have your arms hovering, but you want to have them on about a 90-degree angle. We'll release the hands and we'll come all the way back up through center, rising all the way up, pivoting all 10 toes back towards the top of the mat. Planting the hands down beside each foot and bringing the right leg up and back to meet the left, coming back into a downward dog. Bringing the left leg up straight and strong behind you. Bending the knee and bringing it into the chest, rounding forward and placing the foot in between the palms. Rising up, crescent lunge. Straightening the front leg and pivoting all 10 toes towards the long edge of the mat again. And this time we're going to take the hands behind the head, having the hands clasped, your fingertips clasped, and just resting the hands so it cups your head, just the back. And bringing the elbows in tight towards your head, maybe a little bit out. And this time we're going to fold in, and again, we'll just keep the arms where they are and just let your body dangle. This will be the second arm position that the second kind of headstand will be taking. Some people find this variation easier, some people find the tripod easier. I personally find that the tripod is a lot easier to balance, but I find it's more pressure on the head. When you do this way with the hands behind the head, you don't have much pressure. You don't want a lot of pressure on your head on the mat. You want to be pushing down into your arms so your head is barely touching the ground. All right, so we'll just hold for one more breath, and then we'll rise all the way back up. We'll pivot all 10 toes back towards the front of the mat, coming back into a lunge. Placing both hands down on either side of the foot, bringing the knee into the chest, and then riding it all the way back into downward dog. All right, we'll bend the knees, come all the way down to a seat. So at this point, we'll start working into headstand. So we're going to start with the tripod headstand, and if you find that it's too much pressure on the head, you can always wait till the second version and see if that one works a little better for you. This one I find, for me at least, it's a bigger base because you have your two hands and your head on the ground, so I find that it's a little bit easier to stabilize yourself. So for the tripod headstand, Well, we're gonna start with just putting our knees on, our elbows. We're going to start by taking the tripod headstand frame and putting it all on the ground. Then we're gonna bring each knee up to each elbow and just try lifting each foot to see if you can at least balance upside down, because this can be a lot on the neck. So if it ever becomes too much, just come out of it and see, maybe you can try the next version. So we'll try this. So putting the hands down and then taking the head down. So it's just in front of the hands, because you want it to, when you come forward, your arms will bend this way and it will give you more support. So coming down, placing the head down on the ground, and then bringing the hips up and back, walking the feet in, and then if you can, bringing your knee to one elbow, and then you can try doing it to the other. And then if you wanted to, you can bring both feet up. And you can always try by just tapping. So we'll give this a try for the next 30 seconds or so, and then we'll move into the next variation, helping work up into a headstand. Even with me doing it there, I could feel, because I usually do the other kind of headstand, I could feel a lot more pressure on my head in this version. So now for the second way of doing it, we're going to try with the hands in the other position. This time there's no way to put your, do the knees up, because your arms will be down. But you can just see by taking kind of like the dolphin pose of this to see what it feels like differently on the head. So taking the hands, clasping them behind the head. Sometimes you have to move your hair. I find it's hard sometimes with that. You can clasp your hands fully, or you can do this. I find it's a little bit more support having hands like this. But then if you have to roll out of it, it's not gonna feel good at all to roll over that. So it's better to have the hands flat on the head. So we're gonna come all the way forward, taking the forearms down to the ground, taking the head down to the ground, and then grabbing behind the head. So it's just supporting the head. And then walking the feet in. If you'd like, you can try lifting one leg and then the other. And then coming all the way back down. If you want, you can try that for another couple of next 15 seconds or so. And then we'll try some variations with the wall. And then if you'd like to, at the end, I'll show you 2 ways to enter headstand. Then make it so you're not just kicking up. It's much harder to get stability when you're kicking up. So usually trying to lift the legs or bringing one leg in and then the other, but we'll talk about that at the end. So for the next variation, you can use a wall. I'm just going to move my mat out just a slight bit. And we'll bring our feet to a wall, flat on the wall. Then we'll measure where our hips are, and we'll turn back out that way. Having the hands down, I still gotta move this out a little bit. Oh, okay. Taking the hands down on the ground again, either variation you'd like. If you wanted to do the tripod again, you can do that, or you can take the hands behind the head. And then pushing up, using the wall to give yourself a little bit of a prop. I think I went a little too far. And then you can slowly start lifting one leg and then the other. And if you'd like, you can go all the way up. And then if you need to, you can always come back down to the wall. So we'll give that a try, seeing how you liked that version. And then the next version, we'll be using the wall, but with the wall at our back. So I'll just move my mat a little closer to the wall. All right, so if you wanted to try this variation, it's going to be the same thing, but we're going to turn towards the wall again, but instead of measuring, we're actually going to do it with our back up against the wall. So if you're really worried about falling backwards out of headstand, this will help you get a little bit more confident before you start doing it without the wall support behind you. So taking the hands down in either variation you'd like. I'll take tripod this time. And then kicking up into the wall. And if you need to, you can fall back. And then you can come back up and then fall back. And then come back up. And the wall will be there to support you the entire time. You can give that one a try if you'd like. All right, for the first way I'm going to show you how to enter headstand is tucking up into a headstand. So taking the same arm position you'd like and walking the feet in and then tucking one knee into the chest and then the other and then extending out from there. The second way I will show you is tucking one knee in and then straight with the other leg. So we'll try doing this one, bringing the knee up into the chest and then straightening the other leg and bringing it all the way up and then bringing it up into straight or whatever position you'd like. So you can give either one of those variations a try. There is many other ways to enter headstand, but once you've mastered the basics, it will be a lot easier to try out all the different ways. Thank you for joining me today. May the light in me honor the light in you.